All right, Nick. It took us a minute to get live there. I don't know what's going on the old YouTube, but we made it nonetheless.
We're still not live on YouTube. Hold on.
We are. It just you're like about 10 seconds behind my 10 seconds if I had to guess. But finally the old go live popped up for the old YouTube. So here we are. We have made it. And we are live. Sam Mole. Trying to close things down.
Just don't get hurt. Oh, we got a commercial on Chatterbox Reds, so we're kind of there.
What just happened? Well, what kind of camera angle was that? Chat.
Oh, Will, what? No, don't be limping. Don't be limping. Come on. Jesus. No. The Cardinals got a couple more runs. Update it.
I mean, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but just because he had a good game tonight, let's not act like we just lost Barry Bonds.
You know what? I do.
And also without disrespect, that ball didn't even hit the wall; it hit the ground right there.
That was kind of a dumb decision by Benson. Just play it off the wall there, man.
Well, he couldn't play it off the wall because it hit the ground, Nick. I don't know if you seen it.
Play it off the ground.
Right? Yeah. Just
don't run it. Don't run into the wall.
Play it off your. Play it off your foot. Is that what you're saying?
I don't care. Just don't run into the stinking wall.
No. I am glad, honest fan. I am glad. I listen. I'm not rooting against Will Benson. Why would I ever do that? But I'm also not going to sit here and, be overly concerned about the production lost in right field. Also, that ball hit the ground, just so you know.
Okay. Well, I still don't like him crashing into the
I'm talking to the chat. I'm sorry.
And I don't want to re-sign to an 0 for 4 with 3 strikeouts coming up over him. So.
Yeah, well, you never know. Maybe you can be like Connor Phillips. You just bring him up to the big leagues. It fixes everything. Noelvi Marte, I mean, he wasn't looking too hot. Now look at him. Maybe it's the batter's eyes in the big leagues.
Jimbo. I mean, I know we're up 7 runs here, but my guy just tweeted out, "Come celebrate a big W with us." On Chatterbox.
No!
Delete that.
Oh
delete
my
that.
gosh!
Jimbo. Do not test fate. We've seen
Dude.
Jimbo, love you. You're a legend.
That's on Jim. That's on Jimmy. Like if anything goes wrong, Jimmy's gonna have to own up to it. I mean, I'm not. They always say the leader takes the hit. They're the ones that jump on the sword and all that. I am not doing that. That is not happening. That's not how that's gonna go. I can tell you right now. We're gonna just wipe that slate clean.
Jimbo. All right. We got 2 down.
I mean, it should be fine, but
you don't want to tempt any. You don't want to tempt anything.
No. Chat must be way ahead. We're chat's ahead. They're always ahead. Chat's always ahead.
That's the ball game.
Yeah. Who catches it, Stu? Look at Stu, man. What a guy. Plays center field. Well, the good news is, Nick, you got 4 minutes to figure it out, baby.
Johnny Bench has tied it up. The Cincinnati Reds win the World Series in 4 straight. It was a sweep.
In the dirt, it's a wild pitch. Here comes Boston. The Reds win the pennant.
Perkins won the game.
That ball is fair. Cincinnati's ahead. 2 games to none.
Welcome Joe Randa to Cincinnati. Adam Dunn has done it again.
Benzinger backing and calling. And the 1990 World Championship belongs to the Cincinnati Reds.
Marty, yes. This is Adam from Milwaukee. Hey, Adam, how you doing? I'm good. How are you? Good. Do you think Scott Hatteberg's a good player?
Dunn up there with the bases loaded, the outfield deep and around toward right, and the 1-0 on the way to the plate. Swung on, long drive, right field, and this one
De La Cruz is, oh my goodness, look at this kid run. My, oh my, that is a triple.
Matt McLean's first big league bomb.
Spencer Steer's first big league hit is a home run to straightaway center field. Joey Votto's done it again.
The pitch. Votto swings high in the air. Right field. Yes! He pointed to the dugout to say, I told you. That is Joey Votto's 315th career go-ahead ribby. Only Johnny Bench had more as a Red.
And I can't tell you how much it means to play in front of everyone here in Cincinnati as a Red. What a gift. What a tremendous gift. So thank you. Thank you.
I think I can speak for all of Reds country. Joey Votto, thank you.
High drive, left center field, racing back to the wall, Bourgeois. The Reds are National League Central Division champions. In the air, left center field. Did he? He did! He did! Reds win! Win! Line to the right field. Genius, the first Red ever with 4 home runs in a game. Can you believe it? In the air, down the right field line. Doesn't have a chance. The Reds have won on a 3-run home run on opening day by Ramon Hernandez. A strike away and out away is Homer Bailey. Ground ball to third. Frazier gloves. Throw to first, and Homer Bailey, for the second time in his major league career, has tossed the no-hitter. Oh, gosh. Oh, my God. Are you kidding me? Holy Moses, the second player in major league history to hit 7 home runs in the first 10 games. In the air, and the Reds win. What a dream beginning to the career of Jay Bruce.
Now, before I get started tonight, I just want to say that I have something that I'm going to do from here on out until I run out, which is I've had a plethora of something called no free ads, but what some would call, a foo-foo drink. I'm just going to openly say that my wife told me that I basically loaded the refrigerator up with these and we were all going to be wasted. So I've decided now that after every Reds win, as long as they win like 40 more baseball games this year, they're going to be gone out of the fridge. So I don't want any hate comments. I'm getting ahead of this. That's what the PR folks always tell you. Get ahead of it. I'm getting ahead of it. And I just want to let everybody know that's the deal. However, tonight, Nick, I'm stuck tonight. I'm going to be excited, but I just got to be honest. This feels like I've seen this story before.
You mean the Reds scoring 11 runs because they did it on Monday? That
yes.
story?
And then they weren't able to kind of convert on scoring 11 runs the very next night or the night after that. So, again, I'm excited. I don't want it to come off like I'm not. I'm just hopeful that they can kind of duplicate this performance. Maybe not 11 runs, but enough to possibly win a baseball game.
Yes, I would also like to see them win more baseball games. But look, you get Noelvi Marte back. I don't think it was as much about Noelvi Marte as I think you kind of can understand how big and how important these guys that are out are. Because there's like 3 Noelvi Martes that are out. Noelvi Marte is not going to play like this every night. He was incredible in his first game back. All the reason in the world to be excited about him. All the reason in the world not to think that he's going to, have an incredible MVP level season or anything. But the Reds were missing a lot of really big pieces this year, and you saw why it's such a big deal tonight.
Yeah. No, I mean, I am so tempted to hear, like, tonight I'm battling. I'm really fighting myself a lot here because I'm stuck kind of between being incredibly kind of excited that what I seen, but I'm also like I'm kind of hesitant because I feel like I said, I just feel like, is this just an outlier? You know, is this luck of the draw type situation? I'm glad to see Noelvi back. Benson, maybe I don't want to say the bigger story, but I mean the fact that if Will Benson figures it out, that would be huge news. And then from there, India and Ellie at the top of the lineup has been nails the last basically 2-3 weeks. I'm sure we'll get into all that and more as we always do on Chatterbox Reds. If you've not liked the stream yet, please like the stream. I know we've kind of been slacking in that area on our end to remind folks to like the stream. Likes equals wins. It's scientifically proven. Otherwise, you know, I know there's really nothing else tonight to watch outside of just basically this game and this show. Clearly, that's the main storyline heading in tomorrow is what happened on Chatterbox Reds tonight. So I don't want to disappoint, but I'll also openly admit that I am very hesitant to kind of jump on some bandwagons. That's where I'm at. Don't want to be a party pooper, but that's kind of how I overall feel. But we'll see how the night goes.
All right.
You want to do a box score recap?
Yeah, let's do it.
Now, you this is where you're looking around the screens all the time, and I'm trying to figure out if I needed to buy some more time. Before you do the box score recap, though, I will do this, just in case you need like another couple seconds, because I can give them to you. Michael Rolfe's coming in here with super chats galore. He said, can you guys please ditch the dunk and the pillow tonight? We must change the first win of the series mojo. Instead, take a shot, lick the pillow. Good luck, Nick. Do a layup. ATOBTTR. Shout out to, and this one belongs to the Reds. Michael also said, I'd love to watch two old bums babble, debate, and spit their dentures out at each other. But the only must-watch TV tonight is Chatterbox Reds. Fact. Vote Trace Nick 2024. We'll take it. I tell you what, it's been one hell of a. I watched a little bit of that debate. Wow, is what I got for you. Ned Flanders coming in and said, when would Noelvi Marte be qualified for the All-Star game? I'm sure we'll talk about that in a minute. I don't know. Ned also says, should David Bell be fired for not moving Benson up in the lineup tonight? I think Ned's feeling himself a little bit tonight. You know, he's pumping his chest a little. I like that out of Ned. I don't know. You have anything to add to that? I'm not. You gonna lick a pillow? That seems odd. That seems outlandish.
No, we gotta stick with what.
That's right.
We're sticking with what we do.
Yeah.
It's if the Reds miss the postseason this year, then we'll reevaluate the dunk pillow situation. I think that's the play right now.
That's right. Maybe we'll take a vote on it
at the end of the year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. At the end of the year, maybe we'll take a vote on it. We'll make it a democracy.
Yeah.
You know,
but no,
very patriotic tonight for no reason.
Now, ditching the pillow would feel like you're not built for 162 type thing.
Yeah, fair enough. Speaking of built for 162, let's do the box score recap presented by Nick Kirby. I know that I had you on the graphic earlier and didn't let you get to it, but now I will. I'm stepping out of the way.
Yeah, you know it's a good day when Ellie De La Cruz and Jonathan India both have good games and can't even get their pictures up on the screen. So let's get into this one. Reds taking on the Cardinals, game 1 of 4 in St. Louis. Cardinals currently hold a wild card spot. Reds 4.5 behind them, so certainly a crucial series for the Reds. Miles Mikolas, the starting pitcher for the Cardinals, he signed with St. Louis in 2017. He was coming back from pitching in Japan. Tonight was his 157th start with the Cardinals. Prior to tonight, he had only allowed more than 7 runs in a start one time in his entire tenure in St. Louis, and that was 10 runs at Coors Field on August 9th, 2022. Well, tonight, your Cincinnati Reds, they put up 10 runs against Miles Mikolas for just the second time in his 6 seasons with the Cardinals. The Reds scored in each of the first 5 innings. It got started with Jonathan India singling and then Ellie De La Cruz tripling to put the Reds on the board in the first. Will Benson singled and Jonathan India doubled in the second for the Reds' second run. In the third inning, Spencer Steer and Nick Martini doubled. And then Noelvi Marte, in his first game back, extended his hit streak to 17 games. Reds would end up putting 3 more runs in the third. In the fourth, an Ellie single and Spencer Steer's 10th home run of the season got the Reds runs number 6 and 7. Benson and Stuart Fairchild doubling highlighted a 3-run fifth inning to get the Reds up to the 10 runs off Mikolas. Now, Andrew Abbott battled some pretty serious command issues. He did limit the damage to just 2 runs. Abbott was supposed to throw to Tyler Stevenson tonight, but just minutes before the game, Stevenson was scratched because his wife went into labor. Stuart Fairchild also made another incredible catch, this one against the wall to save extra bases and help Abbott's cause. Abbott's final line, 5 innings, 2 hits, 2 runs, 6 walks, 2 strikeouts. Noelvi Marte got his 3rd hit of the night in his return in the 7th, and Stuart Fairchild drove him home to put the Reds up 11-2. Reds would end up winning 11-4. Second time this week, the Reds have scored 11 runs. Reds now 38-43, 3.5 out of a playoff spot.
3.5 out of a playoff spot is absolutely crazy. I mean, I can't even believe that when I hear it. Deep drive of the day, though, we got one, and it came off the bat of Spencer Steer. It's his 10th of the year. It gave the Reds a win probability of 91.9%. That jumped 10% right before the homer. And ultimately, as we all know, it would be 100% Reds would win. 98 off the bat, 380 feet, 35 degrees of the degree angle, if you really care about that. I personally, as we all know, don't. The Deep Drive of the Day is sponsored by DSC, and they are a leader in renewable commodities for biofuel production, specializing in used cooking oil collection, aggregation, and sales. Visit www.deepsouthcommodities.com for more information, and thank you, as always, to John and his team. Nick, I guess we start tonight. I don't know. Basically the same places that we usually start. We could start with the starting pitching. We could start with the hitting. But tonight, I guess we start with the new guy in town, in Noelvi Marte. I didn't get a hit first time up. Went 3 for 5 with a double, 2 singles, 3 runs. Got an RBI. It was just nice to see. It's almost like did the double that he got, which was a big double at the time. You know, it was a relatively a close ball game in the time in which he hit the double. That was the inning in which they went back-to-back-to-back doubles. I don't know if it freed him up a little bit, made him relax, but, you know, you heard Chris Welsh say it on the broadcast, Nick, and I think that this is something that I feel fundamentally strong about as well, is that Noelvi Marte is a professional hitter, and has nothing to do with the PEDs or anything like that. And Chris Welsh said on the broadcast that when you watch him take batting practice, it comes off his bat a lot different than it comes off a lot of other people's bats. That was no guarantee, though, Nick. It was not a guarantee that he was going to come back and play well. And again, it's still not a guarantee, right? Just because you play the first night back, you play well, doesn't guarantee nothing. But at the end of the day, my main point about Marte is that if nothing else, I hope that he gains confidence relatively early to make him have any doubt about the whole PED thing. Because I think that could spiral out of control, Nick. Like, if he gets off to a really, really bad slump to begin, then all of a sudden you're going to hear the murmurs, even from our own fan base. I guarantee it. Other fan bases for sure. Even from our own fan base, there would be murmurs about, oh, he can't hit since he doesn't have PEDs. I'm really glad that we could put that to bed, hopefully sooner than later, and tonight was a good start.
Yeah, absolutely. Several points I have kind of about Noelvi Marte. The first is it was pretty clear that what Noelvi Marte was doing down in AAA was like an extended spring training. This was clearly not him, I don't know, going all out or whatever. He was just trying to get himself ready to go. So I think it's a good reminder maybe next time when we see guys on rehab assignments and things like that, probably not a good idea to put a whole lot of stock in whatever they do. Having said that, I think we should expect that even if we're really high on Noelvi Marte, he's going to have ups and downs like Ellie De La Cruz. And I don't think Noelvi Marte's ceiling is even anywhere close to where Ellie De La Cruz's ceiling is this year. So he's going to have ups and downs. We're probably going to see Marte get really hot at times. We're probably going to see Marte struggle at times. But most importantly, there's no debate that the Reds are a better team with Noelvi Marte. The question is not, are they a better team? The question is, how much better? And I don't know the answer to that. That'll be what we'll have to see play out over the rest of the season. But this is why all these guys being out mattered a lot. Noelvi Marte might struggle, but he's better than what the Reds have had. The Reds missing Matt McLain. The Reds missing Christian Encarnacion Strand. It just makes this entire lineup better. Guys like Will Benson, when they struggled, their struggles were so pronounced because these other guys were out. If this Reds had the lineup they were expecting, we wouldn't, I think, be as focused on Will Benson.
Right.
Will Benson would have probably been able to have a little bit more time to breathe and not have as much pressure and not constantly, he's 0 for his last 23 or whatever, because he's hitting 8th or 9th. He plays decent defense. It's not a big deal. But because all these other guys were out, that's why it made Will Benson's struggles and several other players' struggles significantly more pronounced.
Well, losing is going to magnify anybody that's struggling without question, and this team has found a way to lose a good amount of baseball games this season, and I'm not suggesting that they can't find ways to win baseball games, but what I will say is with Will Benson, I agree with the sentiment, and I think that you are right. I would just say that if you're 0 for 20, 0 for 15, or had one walk in your last 25 at-bats and you've only been on base one time, you're going to get some criticism. But having said that, you aren't wrong in regards to the fact that this team, maybe the biggest thing that we've not really talked about on this show a lot, or in general, is like, I think the drop-off is significant from the guys that we have in our lineup to the next guy. Now, I'm not saying that other teams shouldn't get credit for that, but every time I hear somebody say, well, everybody has injuries, this, that, and the next, it's like, okay, well, that's fine. But if you have a backup second baseman, that's almost as serviceable or damn near the same type of player as the guy that you already got there, then no big deal. You know what I'm saying? Then it's like, that's understandable that you could argue that it's not that big of a deal. But when you have a guy like Marte missing, you have a guy like McLain missing specifically, and now TJ Friedl, who's been out. I'll tell you what, I know people aren't going to give credit for the Reds of having TJ Friedl out all year, but he damn near has been. Like, damn near. I'm not saying it's, what do you have, a couple weeks, maybe a week or two that he was actually serviceable in the outfield when he wasn't trying to come back from an injury, and then he finally started playing the way in which we thought he would play, and then all of a sudden he gets hurt a week later. So, like, I'm not trying to make excuses. I've been beating around this bush a little bit as of recently because I don't want people to come out and be like, well, there those guys go. They're just excuse makers for everybody. It's like, okay, well, watch the baseball games then. You know, like, tell me. And again, you've seen it today, and I'm not trying to – India has been playing absolute unbelievable, Nick, but in close baseball games today, like if it was a close, tight game, not being able to turn the double play today might have been a big deal. And for lack of a better term, I'll give Levi Jordan some credit. Ellie had a really bad flip to second base on a double play. And you know what Levi Jordan did? He masked it because he made a great turn. And you know who would make great turns all the time? You know who would play great second base all the time? Matt McLain would. And that, I'm telling you, it causes everything to kind of flow better when you play great defense. And Marte and McLain would play great defense. And TJ Friedl would play great defense too, but he's not been around. Thank God, though. I'm gonna sit here and I know I've rambled on for a while, but I know one thing that we did say on last show that showed itself tonight, and that is Stuart Fairchild is a center fielder for this baseball team. I know he might hit 50. I'm not talking about 500. I'm talking about .050, okay, against right-handed pitching. I get that he might do that, but he's also going to go out and play center field at a competent level, and I care about that, Nick. Like, playing defense matters. I don't know if people forget that from time to time, but you've seen it tonight.
Yeah, defense matters, and you saw Noelvi Marte. He didn't actually make a play, but it was a really tough play. Yep. The guy just barely beat it out. Great hustle down the line. And when I saw that, I was just like, how many plays that Jeimer Candelario didn't make at third base? And this isn't a criticism on Jeimer Candelario, but how many plays
they would have beat the Boston Red Sox.
Yeah, how many more wins? I mean, you can't quantify it. It's really hard to say, well, this happens, but there's probably a couple more wins out there if you just have Noelvi Marte and TJ Friedl's defense. Just those two guys alone. There's a lot of plays that weren't made defensively. But look, I think people were way too high on last year's team, and I think people are way too low on this year's team. I don't know if this team's going to make the playoffs, just like I didn't know if last year's team was going to make the playoffs. But the Reds right now, they are the only team in the NL Central, other than the Brewers, that have a positive run differential. And it's The Reds' run differential was plus 13, and the Cardinals are minus 38. So acting like the Reds can't be better than the St. Louis Cardinals who hold a playoff spot, I think is kind of silly. And the Reds' offense, as bad as it's been at times and how ugly it's felt to all of us, they rank 18th in Major League Baseball in OPS. This is not the world's worst offense. And you add Noelvi Marte to the mix, and you also are going to play a little bit of an easier schedule in the second half. You're not going to face as many, really good teams. Like, you don't have to face the Phillies. The Phillies have like the top 3 guys in Major League Baseball in ERA. This team still has a chance.
I'm not saying they don't have a chance. I agree with everything you just said. The only thing that, there's some pushback on in regards to the run differential thing is like, there's just times like tonight, you get a 2-run double in the 8th inning. It's just significantly different than if it's a 2-run double on a night in which you're not leading by 8 or 9 runs. I'm not discrediting what you're saying. I think overall, over the course of 162, one thing that I do agree with analytics about in general is that it's really hard to say like, this is exactly when this happens and when that happens, and the only reason this happens is because of this. It probably is just luck of the draw. They score 11 runs tonight. Would it have been nice if they had scored 11 runs through 2 games? They score 6 in one game and 5 the next and give them a chance to win 2 games? Of course it would, Nick, but that's not how it goes. And I'm sure there's going to be a night where they give up, 16 or 17 runs because they just kind of throw whoever they can out there to eat up innings. But point is I understand the sentiment you're making. I think the only people, and this is me, I guess I should just speak for myself. I shouldn't try to, group other kind of what I see on socials and stuff like that. I personally don't, the team that I don't believe in is the team that's not really our team. That's how I look at it. Now I get it. They're all Cincinnati Reds, blah, blah, blah. But the guys in which we thought we had coming into the season that gave us the spark of hope last year, they were the reason behind why we came into the season excited. You can say whatever you want about everything that's gone on, and I'm sure that the Reed Mouses of the world and the other rivals of the world would make fun of what I'm getting ready to say. If this team had the players that we expected to have coming into the season, I have no doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind. Now, they're going to kill me for saying it, but I'm going to say it anyway, that this team would make the postseason. No doubt in my mind. Now, with what they got now, I'll be honest, I don't know, because it feels like we have a lot of inconsistent players, and it also feels like we kind of have some guys that are borderline major league players that are probably going to get a little more run than we'd all hope. Simple as that. Now, our pitching staff hopefully can survive in advance. But one guy that's been streaky is Will Benson. I guess we can move on to him here. I'm going to sit this one out a little bit because I don't really want it to make it sound like I'm negative about it. I need to see more than just one night. I'm glad that he got off. Maybe, if anything, maybe his confidence have gotten boosted a little bit from the night, and maybe that sparks and goes into something tomorrow.
Yeah, the confidence is the most important thing, because we sat here yesterday, and I think I said keep Will Benson, but I wasn't. I was kind of fringe on it. I think you said send him down, but you were kind of fringe on it. I think we were both pretty close, just barely on opposite sides. Right. But we both agreed the most important thing is that we get Will Benson's confidence back up. Yes. And today had to have been a massive confidence boost for him. And he gets the day off yesterday. It would have been pretty easy yesterday. I think that David Bell decided I'm sitting Will Benson. And then there was the injury to Fraley and Candelario. And I think he said, look, I've got to sit him. I don't care really what it does to the lineup. He has to have a day off. We have to just try to, get him right mentally. And who knows if that actually did anything. But you also have to add, he did have really good career numbers against Miles Mikolas. So that probably helps as well. A guy that he probably sees well. But yeah, for the Reds to kind of have a chance this year, they're going to need guys like Will Benson to step up. And make no mistake about it. There is no one at AAA that has any sort of chance of playing as well against right-handed pitching as Will Benson. So just hope and pray that the confidence that he got tonight, he is able to carry over. Yeah,
a good analogy I'm going to use is sometimes, I mean, I should say small, so I don't use like little 5 times. The small Little League experience that I had coaching a little bit is like sometimes maybe you'll have a kid that can throw really, really hard, has no clue where it's going, but if he has some confidence and all of a sudden he can throw strikes, it's like he's the best pitcher in the league. It kind of feels like it also can go the opposite with that kid. He could literally walk 9 guys in the first inning and you're out of the game before it starts. It feels like that's kind of what we have with Will Benson. Yes, like for all intents and purposes, but you're playing, like, let's just say you're in a situation where you're playing the best team in the league and you don't have anyone else to pitch. It's like you kind of should just throw the guy that's got a chance to beat the best team in the league just to see if it happens. And if it doesn't happen, it is what it is, because you're right. We could replace him with a guy that's a minor leaguer. He's probably going to what is he going to hit? Maybe like 50, 60 points higher than Will Benson's 120 batting average. So he's going to hit 190 or 180 instead. At the end of the day, we're going to be upset with the production. At least give me the guy, to your point, that might look like the guy from last season. It was just last season, after all. That was one of the best outfielders in all of Major League Baseball, and that's not hyperbole. That's a fact. He genuinely was. So I'm not, again, when you go 1 for 24, it is what it is. However, one night, we'll see where it stands tomorrow, but I am thankful that he got something that can boost his confidence, because I think that's the only thing that can stop Will Benson from being a decent player is his mental space in his brain, something that he's even talked about himself. So I don't know, you have anything else to add with Benson before we jump into these rest of these guys?
One thing I do want to add, though, is when you're looking at Will Benson's stats this season, as ugly as they are, remember how many stupid, unnecessary at-bats he got early in the year against left-handed pitching. His OPS now is up to 710 against right-handed pitching. That's not great. You expect Will Benson to be much better than that, but that's pretty close to league average. So he has not been as, and the key word is as bad as his overall stat line looks, because he got way too many at-bats early in the year against left-handed pitching, and he never should have got that. Maybe the biggest single mistake the Reds have made this entire season.
That's a bold claim. That's a bold claim.
That hurt his confidence. That was it. Yeah, it was a bad decision.
Yeah, and on his part, I mean, you know, I'm not saying to be fair to the Reds, but I mean, he came into camp saying, I want to face more left-handed pitching. Well, be careful what you wish for, as the saying goes. The other thing I was going to say too about this whole situation is, I don't know, Will Benson didn't get any help from his counter platoon mate either. You know what I'm saying? Jake Fraley has not helped him out. If Jake Fraley absolutely, you know, and I shouldn't say it was Jake Fraley. Really, it was like, it would have been like a guy like I guess Stuart Fairchild or someone along those lines. But right, because a lefty on lefty, they're both not good. But
it was the Friedel injury that threw everything in.
Yeah, so it's not really even that. That's not a good comparison. But my main point is like, there's no one else in the outfield that is picking up the slack, if you want to call it that, from a production standpoint that Will Benson hasn't been able to accomplish. So maybe the rising tide will raise all ships, as they say. I'm going to see if I can't figure out a way to put like 5 more cliches in by the end of the night, because that's what the other TV program's doing. I don't know if you're watching it or if you've seen it, but they've doing that a lot. So I took notes tonight, Nick. I'm going to do as many cliche terms as one can do in this show. Spencer Steer hit a bomb tonight. Yes, he's looked relatively decent as of late. I don't, like I said, I don't believe in him defensively, but at the same time, I do think that he can be maybe one of the positive right-handed bats in this lineup, and I'm glad to see that starting to kind of take a little bit of an uptick from his hot start to the season to what was basically a dramatic fall. Now we're starting to rise again, Nick.
Yeah, you really need Will Benson to be a guy that can hit the ball out of the ballpark, because there's just there's not enough of those guys. This was Steer's 4th home run of the month, so that's good to see. 4 of his 10 home runs have been in the month of June. So you kind of hope that maybe Steer, it does feel like Steer has that maybe that 1 month where he can almost kind of do what Jeimer Candelario did earlier this month, where he can hit 5, 6, 7, 8 home runs in a couple weeks, kind of carry the team, almost like what he did early in the year, but maybe more power centric than just, double centric. I think was kind of what it was, early in the year.
Yeah, I mean, the extra base hits are okay too. It's not all power, but when you play in Great American Ballpark, hitting the ball out of the ballpark seems like something in which, I'm not saying that should be the only focus that the Reds should do when they go to the offseason or when they're drafting players, et cetera, is what the power brings. But at the same time, with that ballpark, you'd like to think that your power numbers as a whole should be better than what maybe they have been this year. India, he's continued to stay like scorching hot. This guy's been unworldly ridiculous the past week and a half. And really, the first out he made tonight, Nick, was a ball in which probably should have been or could have been a double. It was a nice play in the outfield by the Cardinals left fielder. As far as him coming out of the game, I don't know. We obviously are doing this show. We don't have a chance to see what's going on. I don't know if you've heard anything. I'm assuming you haven't, but any thoughts on that?
I'm assuming that it was simply the fact that he's played every single day for the last year, and the Reds were up big. I think that was all it was. I was trying to search that because I didn't hear anything on the broadcast. I did also turn on another program, the volume, because I was just a little curious about what was going on there. But yeah, I didn't hear anything else. One point on Jonathan India, you might think, well, India's been hot before. India has never been hot like this in his career. Right now, he's got an OPS over 1,000 in the month of June. He's never done that in his career. In fact, he only has 1 month in his entire career where he had an OPS over 900. So this is a whole different level of Jonathan India. Most of Jonathan, even like in 2021, when he was really good, it was more of like a consistent, like, chunks where he had an 800 OPS and 800 OPS month after month. This is something we've never seen from Jonathan India. So it'll be interesting to see, what happens when he does cool back off, because it's going to happen at some point. But man, what he's doing, 453 on base percentage this month. 453.
Yeah, he's been unworldly. I'm not going to say here and act like he hasn't been unworldly. He's been one of the best. He's been the best player on the Reds for what's been at least 2.5 weeks at this point. And you know what? Like tonight, I hate to say, oh, if McLean would have been there, look at that play he would have made, and he's done a serviceable job. But again, we'll see how long this defensive uptick continues, and let's hope it's for the rest of the year. We'll see. You have Ellie on here. He had a good night. You have Stu on here. He had a good night. Ellie, when it's going your way, it's going your way. I mean, what about the check swing? Little flair that he had. I just thought that was funny, man. That just reminds me back when I played. Like it's just funny. Baseball is so goofy. It's so damn hard at times. Like when you're Will Benson and you're going through that 1-for-24 stretch, you're just in your mind when you're up there, you literally think there's a zero chance that anything can go right. It's like I could hit a ball on the screws and it's just right at a guy, or heaven forbid I take a check swing and I think I held up and the umpire at third base he rings me up, and you just start to get demoralized and baseball just beats you down, and then all of a sudden you start to have some success and you do what Helly did tonight, and it's just like no matter what you do, man, it doesn't matter. It works out in your favor. I just got a good chuckle out of that for Ellie. Also, Martini, shout out to him. He had a birthday today. Kudos to him for hitting a ground ball off the bag. It just felt like it was the Reds' night when it hit the bag, and it certainly was. It's nice to kind of see those fortuitous bounces go our way, because it did feel like for at least some point during this season that everything was going against us. 16 hits, Nick. Like that's a lot of baseball hits, buddy.
Yeah. And Miles Mikolas is, have been pitching pretty well of late too. I think his last 3 starts have been really good. I think he'd gone 7 innings plus in 3 straight starts. So
yeah.
Miles Mikolas is not a great pitcher by any means. He's more of the grinded out innings eating type pitcher. And he's the kind of pitcher. He's probably similar to like Bronson Arroyo almost. Like I think that maybe a good comp.
Yeah.
And this was that one night that you always knew was coming with Bronson Arroyo. It just thankfully it came when the Reds came into town. But to your point earlier, it would be nice to see the Reds win a game with a lot of runs, because I was looking, I sorted the losses or the runs. Yeah. And if you look, it's like they had like two or three wins where they've given up 7 runs.
Right.
And remember last year, the Reds won like that game against the Dodgers. What was it, like 9-8 or something like that?
Braves,
nice
for
to
sure.
See the Reds get a couple of those. And it just, it's all happenstance, I think, more than anything else. And if a couple of these happen, the Reds have a 500 record right now.
Right. Yeah, I we'll jump to the back half here. Shout out to the Game Time folks. I will give my traditional. I know on a night like tonight, maybe it's not something that really is much of a need, but maybe it is a need. and maybe things happen in life that don't go your way, and that is A-OK. If you need a resource, you know where to call or text. 988 is the place. And as always, you can go to mantherapy.org and take a quiz and kind of get some help that way, which is kind of a unique way to kind of check it out. I'll tell you right now, I've gone on there before. It's really cool. It actually is a really cool site. It's got a bunch of different things that kind of gives you advice on how to handle certain things that may be causing you some problems. So otherwise, Game Time, a good place to go if you need tickets, Nick. Why don't you tell everybody about exactly why you should download the Game Time app if you haven't already.
Yeah, Reds still have a 10-game homestand right before the All-Star break. They're going to face a couple teams that, I don't know, might be good days to go down to the ballpark against. And if you're going to go down, be sure to use the Game Time app because it's an authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball. That makes getting tickets even faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app, they actually go down the closer it gets to first pitch. With killer last-minute deals, all-in pricing, views from your seat, and the lowest price guaranteed, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying MLB tickets. They have all-in pricing. You can toggle this feature, and it shows you the total up front with no surprise fees at checkout. Lowest price guaranteed, or Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code CINCY for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code CINCY, CINCY, for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
No, you did a great job. I just laughed at the chat. AJ Worst chimes in and says, call Deep South Commodities if you're able to donate any used cooking oil. I don't know why I found that so funny, but I did. It caught me by surprise, I guess. I shouldn't give AJ that much credit. Now he's going to have a big head tonight thinking he's funny. I don't know if you are funny, AJ, but you said at least one thing that's funny. That's kind of like honest fan. Close your ears, but I don't know if that's like Will Benson or not. We'll find out tomorrow, AJ, if you're actually funny or not. Maybe that was just a flash in the pan. We shall see. Speaking of a guy that seems like a Houdini act, everyone's going to think like, oh, toxic trace, pessimistic trace, this, that, and the other. It's like, listen, man, I'll tell you right now, Andrew Abbott, he's got, and I tweeted this out, I really do believe this, he's got a little Alexis Diaz in him. And you know what? That's a positive thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just like he finds a way to kind of do some things that you probably shouldn't be doing in baseball games. And ultimately, it always seems, and again, knock on wood here, it seems to work out, Nick. So if it works out, I guess it's kind of like, I don't know, you can't really get too upset about it. But you walk guys are hitting balls hard. And you know what? They didn't score that many runs against him. So here we are again with Andrew Abbott, a similar storyline. And at this point, I don't know. How many more outings does he need to go before we're relatively semi-concerned about Andrew Abbott giving up walks and hard-hit balls? I don't know. Maybe I should just stop talking about it.
Yeah, Abbott last 2 years, this year, last year, and last year at AAA, his like fielding independent pitching was like in the mid-4s. His ERA has been in the mid-3s. Maybe he's a pitcher that can outdo that. A lot of times that does come back down to earth. Tonight in particular with Andrew Abbott, I kind of say, like, I wouldn't put a whole lot of stock into it, mainly because Tyler Stevenson was supposed to catch him tonight. And like 5 minutes before his start, he's like, oh, sorry, you're not catching him. You know, there's a lot of game planning involved between Stevenson and all the catchers are in those meetings. So Luke Maile was in that meeting too, you know, with Abbott and Stevenson preparing for this game. But I'm just assuming that kind of threw Abbott off a little bit because we don't see him walk 6 guys. We've seen him struggle with his command, but not at the level that it was tonight. So I would say that probably had more to do with it than anything else. But Abbott, certainly there is, I would say, some small concern. I don't think we need to go overboard and be like, yeah, Abbott, man, is going to be a big regression coming. I think it's just something you should probably be more cautious about, more so than necessarily like full panic that you know, doom and gloom, because he has outperformed his expected stats for 3 straight starts. When you start to do that, I start to believe it. The more you do it, the less I believe in those expected stats. Kind of like Jonathan India with his defense. If Jonathan India can continue to do it, I'll believe it. But I need a little bit more of a sample before I go the other way.
It's more than fair. Again, I'm not overly concerned about Andrew Abbott. I watch the game and I start to think to myself, man, this dude just, I don't know. He's kind of playing with fire at times, but he always finds a way to put the fire out. So I guess you kind of live with it. You gotta kind of let him be. Like I said, a little Alexis Diaz, a little Aroldis Chapman back in the day, Nothing like Aroldis Chapman walking the bases loaded with nobody out and then striking 3 straight guys out. I've seen that before. Speaking of old bullpen guys, we'll go to the current bullpen guys in another lefty. I don't know if you have anything really to add to it. I don't know what the kind of plan to talk about the Reds bullpen is tonight. Is Brent Suter something to be worried about? It seems like at least a fair question, Nick.
I think he's kind of evened out to what you should have expected out of him. I mean, he's got a 3.92 ERA. That's probably what you were expecting. Again, I don't think this guy, he's not, I think he kind of started, like, people put him up in the pecking order, like ahead of guys like Lucas Sims. And I don't think that's ever where he should have been. I think he's the guy that's he's your left-handed Buck Farmer. And that's fine. You need that. You have games like today where you want to give guys days off. And, thankfully the Reds kind of had this game today because the Reds, remember, had to use several of their relievers, their top relievers. They had to use Sims and Diaz yesterday just to get them work. Had to use Cruz the day before. I believe so, more just to get him work. So it's kind of nice when you have a 4-game series in St. Louis, when you already had a game where you had to use your best relievers just out of, necessity to keep them engaged, whatever.
Yeah,
and nice that you had that nice tonight. But Sam Moll does it again. Another scoreless inning. I mean, this guy, it's just incredible. I mean, that's 5 earned runs in like 43 innings with the Reds. Just unbelievable.
He's been very, very good, and that's an understatement. I think he's in fact, of all the guys, I think he's the most underappreciated by far is Sam Moll. And you know what? We already talked about why, and it is what it is. So, I don't know if there's really anything else to add. We can jump into Reds MILB whenever you're ready, Nick. I kind of in a point now where I'm going to do a couple supers here real quick before we jump into Reds MILB, and then we'll get into the old who, what, when, where, and why, and we'll cap this show off the only way we know how. Let's see here. Ned, I already got to Ned Flanders' last super. He comes in with another one. He says, any risk of Abbott going back to the Arizona Complex League? Might be, Ned. I mean, we'll just swap him out with Connor, and they can go back and forth and enjoy some of that Phoenix sun. Sleepy Joe comes in and he says, ATOBTTR. That is, and this one belongs to the Reds. Nick, what the hell are you laughing about, man? I don't know why you're laughing. I'm just doing a show. Reds are back? ? I don't know. I don't know. I will say thank you for your 5th super chat because that's what YouTube told me to say. And I'll also say thanks to Ned for his 10th super chat because YouTube tells me how to do my damn job. Okay? YouTube always does this. They always just popping stuff in here in my face. Thank Ned for his super chat. What do you think I'm going to do? I mean, I'll do what, you know what? Sometimes I wonder maybe they wouldn't have to run so many ads if they had less developers doing stupid stuff at the office like that. By playing ping pong half the time and making stupid pop-ups like that. Anyways, I digress. Reds MILB, Nick. We played some baseball down on the farm.
Yeah, we got a lot of baseball today. A lot of finals. God, I love these 7:45 starts. It's like it's the way that baseball was intended to be played. All right, we start off with AAA. Louisville, they lost 9-4 to Toledo. Bats now 38-38 on the season, but Jacob Hurtubise had a 2-hit day, so good to see that. Reese Hines 0 for 4, 3 strikeouts. Several pitchers in action today. Zach Maxwell, he threw 6 of his 10 pitches for strikes. He got 2 weak flyouts, and then he did give up 1 hard-hit ground out. Maxwell hit 101 miles per hour twice. So Maxwell seems like he's starting to get back on track after a little bit of a slow start since getting promoted to AAA. Alex Young, he gave up a run in his 2/3 of an inning. And then Casey Legumina struggled a little bit more again. He gave up 3 hits in his inning of work. One note from this game, Austin Wynns was pulled from the game in the 3rd inning. So ding, ding, ding. I think that's your replacement for Tyler Stevenson, who will be on the paternity list. Down to Double-A, Chattanooga. Hey, they got it done. They won 12-3 over Rocket City. This was their first win of the second half, so good to see that. Rhett Lauder, back on track. 5 innings, 2 runs, just 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. They give up a homer, so good to see Rhett Lauder. Pretty strong performance from him. Austin Hendrick was 1 for 4. Bubba Thompson, Trace, he was back in the lineup last night. I watched the Lookouts game a little bit just to see Bubba Thompson. Their announcer gave absolutely no reason for why this guy's just missed 10 days of baseball. So I have no idea why he was out, but Bubba's back, baby. And then Avon Johnson, hey, this guy's starting to heat up. He's hit 2 home runs. He's got 5 now in the season. He was 3 for 4 RBIs. I don't know the exact numbers, because this went final after we started, but he's playing really well of late. This was a former top 30 prospect, so maybe one silver lining down in Chattanooga. All right, down to High A. They are in the middle of a doubleheader. They're up. Dayton's up 3-1 over Fort Wayne. That is in the bottom of the 6th. You'll have to wait for the podcast if you want to know what happened in Game 2. But in Game 1, Dragons won 10-7. Dragons now 36-35. Hopefully get to 37-35. A lot of good stuff in this one. Cam Collier hit his 12th home run of the year. He was 2 for 4. Sal Stewart was 2 for 5. Hector Rodriguez, he had a big day. He homered his 6th of the year, also doubled. So some good stuff down at Dayton. And then speaking of Daytona, they won 10-3 over Jupiter. Sammy Stafura, he tripled in this one. Ricardo Cabrera, 1 for 4. E. Smith Pineda, 1 for 4. And then Ariel Almonte hit another homer. His Florida State League leading 15th of the year. And then Adam Serwinski did give up 3 hits and 3 runs, but no walks and 6 strikeouts in 4 innings. He's having a really great year, really talented lefty down at Daytona. And then out in the DSL, Adolfo Sanchez 0 for 4 with the walk. Nabel Mariano was 2 for 3 with two walks. I thought he was going to be our deep drive of the day, Trace. I already had the graphic ready before the game started, but Spencer Steer just ruined that. Shout out to Jervin Moriallo. He hit his first professional home run this afternoon for DSL Rojas. Catcher. He's a catcher from Venezuela. He was a top 100 signing bonus signing for the Reds. DSL Reds, the other team, they won 4-1 over DSL Brewers 1. And then out the Arizona Complex League, the ACL Reds trail 7-2 to the ACL Mariners in the bottom of the 6th. Shang-In Lin, the on-base machine, he has walked twice.
I'm glad to hear Shang-In Lin is back in the updates. Boy, it wasn't going to be a complete show without it. And I also want to say that was one of the smoothest Reds MILB reports that you've ever done. Now, I don't keep track of all of them all the time, but I just want to say when you went from Dayton and you almost said Daytona, but you caught yourself. And then you said, speaking of Daytona, that is what we call in the business a big league transition. Shout out to Nick Kirby for the Reds MILB update, as always, which takes a good amount of work, and he does it consistently. And you know where else he does it? He does it on the podcast. If you've not downloaded the podcast, give it a rating or a review yet, then I would just say, what are you doing? In fact, you might be the reason as to why we can't find a way to win a game after we win the first one in the series. So I would say if you've liked the stream, that's great. If you want extra brownie points, go on to whatever podcast platform you use. Most people use Apple. That's what it says on the stats. And Spotify. That's what it says on the stats. If you use one of those 2 platforms, go give it a rating. Give it a nice review, please. Help us out. And as always, it allows us to continue to be able to do this on a night in, night out basis and support us and keep our lights on. So I just want to say, as always, thank you for watching our show. And then, as we always do, before we get into the dunk, and, of course, the pillow, we have who, what, when, where, and also, for tonight, Nick, I want a why. Thank you.
All right. And one other note on the podcast, one thing I've started doing by request from one of our loyal listeners, it doesn't take me very long. It takes me like 2 seconds, but I added timestamps. So on the podcast version, I usually add the press conferences into the show so you can hear what they say. And then I have, like, when me and you go live, right, or when me and you and the podcast, I have that as timestamp. And then I have Reds MILB. So a lot of nights, I kind of half do Reds MILB on the show because I'm trying to, scramble and get this on here. But I almost always, unless it's a really late game, re-record it. So there's a timestamp for Reds MILB. So if you just want to, if you're someone who really actually does like the Reds MILB, it is timestamped every day. You can go right to it. Just look in the episode notes. But tomorrow, Reds, hey, be nice to get a win again. Frankie Montas for the Reds, 3-5, 4.48 ERA. Andre Palante, he's 3-3 with a 3.53 ERA. Now, Palante, you might remember, dominated the Reds. Where's my number here? I have it on my notes here somewhere. He threw 6 shutout innings against the Reds, allowed just 3 hits when he got moved into the Cardinals rotation on May 29th. But then since then, he has a 6.48 ERA. So hopefully that was him getting off to a good start, not him versus the Reds. We'll see. But nonetheless, he has not been pitching very well of late for the Cardinals. But this is a guy the Cardinals do really like. He was a 4th-round draft pick. He has 4 different pitches, the 4-seamer, sinker, slider, and a knuckle curve. Fastball and sinker both average 95. His fastball has a lot of weird movements. But he's dominated the Reds. Career 4-0, 1.55 ERA in 29 innings against the Reds. 13 games, 3 of those are starts. Active Reds are 10 for 38. Benson's 1 for 4. De La Cruz 1 for 5. Martini 2 for 4. India 1 for 7. Steer 1 for 3. All right, and then Frankie Montas, his last start, I thought he threw the ball really well. Unfortunately, the Reds gave the game up late, but against the Red Sox, 6 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, 4 strikeouts. That was against a really good lineup. He did face the Cardinals back in May. 6 innings, 6 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. So overall, pretty good. This will be the first time he's pitched at Busch Stadium since 2022. Active Cardinals, though, against Montas, they've had a lot of success. 10 for 32, 999 OPS. Arenado's homered against him. Mason Wynn is 2 for 2, and Norland Gorman 1 for 3 with a double, and Matt Carpenter is 1 for 2 with a homer. So Reds tomorrow, 8:15 start time. This weird series, 7:45, 8:15, 2:15, 2:15 this weekend.
Yeah, the 2:15 on Saturdays are great.
That's a killer.
Those are not good. Those are not good for your boys. Yeah, those are bad.
You can't do anything in the morning. You can't do anything in the evening. It's just like the absolute worst time.
You just can't. You can 2:15. I mean, what are we doing? But here we are. Cardinals do what they want. All right. As always, we have our traditions that we continue to do because that's just what we do. And Nick, preparing. Oh, that was a clean swipe. Maybe that's what it's been. It's been your terrible swiping, or maybe it's just been the lack of Major League Baseball players. I don't know.
Probably would lean that way.
Yeah. Good job, Nick. Very nice. Very nice work. All right. Listen, I got to get up early tomorrow. I've got some announcements on off the bench tomorrow that we have to make, and we're going to make them. So we're going to do that. That means I have to get up early and get in there and try to calm myself down tonight to get some decent sleep and go in there tomorrow. Come in guns a-blazing. Come in guns a-blazing tomorrow. That's the plan.
All right.
So if you're an OTB kind of guy, tomorrow's the day. You want to be there.
You should be an OTB kind of guy or gal.
Yeah. I mean, if you're in the chat right now and I'm saying you're an OTB kind of guy or gal, tomorrow, the day, 10A. 10A. Now it's time to go be an athlete. That's the plan. Now is the time. So one thing I got to be able to do first is cue the outro. And I just did that. So that's step number 1. Step number 2 is going to be trying to figure out where exactly I have to go to find a basketball. And step number 3 has already been taken care of because Nick cleared the graphics. So, go Reds. Just want to say that first and foremost. Second most is we love you. We appreciate you. Be back here better than ever tomorrow night. And then I'll see many of you, maybe many of you. I'll say many of you. Why not? Why not? Night seems like a good night to over-exaggerate things anyways, if you know what I'm saying. If you're picking up what I'm putting down, we'll just exaggerate everything. Talk out of both sides of our mouth. But tomorrow, not a bad day if you're an OTB kind of guy. All right, I'm going to go dunk a basketball. Love you.
athlete.